Welcome to the RKKR Horror Book Club, where we read one horror book a month and then talk about it on here like our opinions matter. My name is Caitlin, and that is Rob. I'm addicted to hexercising Lamontang. Just a little witch joke.
Oh my god. That's all right. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Welcome to our monthly book read. This month's book was Maggie's Grave by David Sodergren, who is quickly becoming my favorite author. I
Dude.
love this guy. Love him.
His books are so funny.
They're funny and fun and super easy. Maggie's Grave, just to give a quick synopsis of this, is a story about a woman who was brutally murdered, accused of being a witch in the late 1600s, and was pregnant at the time of her murder, and her baby was taken away from her, and she decided to curse the village of Achemellen.
Dude, I'm proud that you even tried to pronounce it.
I
I was just going to be like, this small town.
Yeah. Some Scottish small town, Achemellen. I don't even know if that's correct. Anyways, she curses this town for the next 300 years. And I'm not entirely sure what triggers her to come back, but when she comes back, nothing is stopping her. Pumpkinhead style, pretty much.
Yeah. So this story follows a couple of teenagers that have been growing up in the small dying town that has about 50 residents left.
Yeah.
And then one night an American comes into their bowling alley, which is the only place left for them to go and like have a pint in the evenings and hang out and listen to music.
And still play bowling too.
And still
they
bowl.
still bowl.
So cute. And they want to show this American a good time. And so they decide to go and desecrate Maggie's grave up in the woods. And then she comes back, and it's just like one night of Maggie coming back to destroy the whole town. I loved this book. It was so fun, dude. I sat and read it in one sitting. Like I couldn't put it down. I thought it was
Really?
Yeah, it was so fun to read.
I agree. This was a super fun book. It was funny. David is so good at writing a world that you can easily visualize. It's almost like you're reading I've seen this movie, or I could easily watch this movie. Like that's how it feels. Everything. That he's got perfectly written humor for scenes, and the gore is just the best. But you know what? The only thing that actually makes me cringe every single time, like the descriptions of every other graphic thing that happened in that book, I would be like, but her falling and breaking her ankle and the bone snapping out, that is way too real. And every time I just grit my teeth and I don't know. I think I have a phobia of breaking bones or something like that, because that disturbs me more than every other death in that book.
Really? You know
every
what
time.
It was the when Grady, the main character, what was her name? Beth? Yeah, Beth and Alice, and then her best boyfriend Grady, when he got his leg stuck when they were trying to get into the bowling alley after Maggie was chasing them, and there was like a flap of skin and you could see bone, and then she had to put it back and then like duct tape it and stuff. And reading that, I was like, like honestly,
really?
everything. It's so gruesome, and oh my god, I loved it. It was so funny. Like there's a scene where they go to the town hall because obviously we're talking about this book, so spoilers, okay? If you haven't
all
read it,
spoilers. Hey, if you're part of the book club, you've already read the book, or you should read the book before you watch the video every time. Every time.
Yeah, every time. But I just want to, make it clear. But the scene where they go to the town hall because it turns out that the townspeople know about this curse, so they sacrifice a baby so Maggie Hall or Maggie Wall can grab the baby and go, and then so they have to sacrifice a baby and a mother, and then the rest of the town is safe, and that's the way they've been doing it for 300 years. Dude, when you find out that the cop is like, "And the ritual begins," and it's just the entire town having an orgy.
Yeah. I was
That's
so
like
worried. I know. But like the funniest part about all of that, because Alice is just like chained up to a cross, and she's get super weirded out at that point. Like, oh my god, what is happening? But the worst part to her was when they started playing James Blunt. That was the part that she's like, oh god, no.
yeah, oh man, like and, like, the way that he wrote the cop, Car do you pronounce it like Carlisle?
Carlisle.
How do you say it?
Well,
Carlisle?
it was Larry, right? Like
Yeah,
Larry Carlisle. Yeah.
Carlisle, yeah, and, like, when he pulls his gun out and he's, like, walking through flames, like, naked, like, shooting at there was just
Yeah.
the humor was I felt like a 14-year-old boy just being like, like,
Yeah.
it was so good, and when I read this book, totally saw it as, like, a movie in my head,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I think that's why I couldn't stop reading it is 'cause it was so
Yeah.
easy.
It
Um,
was really, really, really easy to read this and visualize everything. Like you never got lost in like too many words or over description or anything like that. Like that's why I love reading his books, because it's just so well paced and put together, and it does just feel like you can see everything that he's writing. I know that sounds like a little bit dorky or whatever, but like these are the only books that we have reviewed that I've never gotten like, wait, what was I like reading or something like that? Like it's so easy. Um and that whole church scene is horrifically graphic and just so funny to read, because you are just seeing exactly like when Maggie storms in there. Okay, like I know we're all over the place with this, but like it's
yeah,
because it is such a funny, wild book, and some of these scenes that do happen. The church scene being like the big like holy shit, like this is crazy.
mhm,
Every one of those shitty townspeople, and they are shitty because they were super willing to just like sacrifice this baby,
I know.
uh and then have an orgy, and then have Maggie storm in there and slaughter all of them while
Mhm,
they're all naked. It's the best, it's the funniest,
yeah.
um
My thing is that I don't I think the reason why I thought it was so funny is because I don't think that they actually had to have an orgy, like, that was clearly had nothing to do with what Maggie Wall was coming back
100%.
to do. So I just love that over 300 years, these gross town people were just like, "Yeah, we better have an orgy,"
Yeah,
and,
they
like
like when they rolled back down the hill after killing Maggie,
yeah.
and they're like, well, what happened? Well, she cursed us, and she said, if you have sex with everyone in that place, I'm powerless to stop you. And then they just, that was what the one guy told the whole village. Everybody was just like, okay.
Okay, and now to bring it back to the beginning, you mentioned when you were talking about the synopsis that you weren't sure why Maggie comes back or, like, what brings her back?
I no, I'm now, I am thinking about it now, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's because the girl got pregnant. Which, at a certain point, I feel like I already knew that that was the outcome, that Alice or Beth was pregnant. I did feel like there was something where I'm like, I bet you she's the one that's actually pregnant. I just bet you.
Well,
Like,
here's my thing with the ending that I was happy with, is that in the beginning of the book, there was so much emphasis on Alice being a mother, and she wasn't really the main character, but there was so much animosity between Beth and Alice being a mom that I was like, "This is definitely going to end with Beth having to take care of Alice's baby." That's how the
Mm-hmm.
book's gonna end. So I was actually very happy when it turned out that Beth, uh, died because she was the one, in fact, that had, like, the baby that was conceived in town.
Yeah.
It's not about being pregnant, it's about conceiving in the town. So Maggie Wall cursed this town and everyone in it. So if you conceived a child outside of the town, you're safe. So that's why the whole town made sure that if you had a baby, you couldn't get pregnant in the town. If you did get pregnant, you had to deliver it outside of the town, and which seems, crazy. But I knew it was gonna be something like that, but I was actually, like, pretty surprised, and then so happy that Beth died in the end, because she was awful. She was a terrible human being, and right before she dies at the end when she's talking to Alice and basically apologizing to her for being a bad friend, in that apology, she says, I feel nothing about my family or Grady dying because I've basically been dead inside this whole time. And I was reading that and I was like, "You better not live because you're an awful that's a terrible apology."
Yeah, she's a psychopath.
Yeah.
She was a psychopath because she was like, "Okay, fine, I'll do all of this stuff, and yeah, I guess like I promised like I would take care, and then like just like you know what, I'm tired. I don't want to fight anymore. Take the baby, Maggie," and like yeah, just ended up dying in a really bad way.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think about Maggie? What did you like? Do you think she was a cool monster?
Yeah, I mean, I think, uh it's funny because I kept trying to imagine her, the character with, like, this long neck and the long arm, and I was having a really hard time because of the neck and the head. I feel
Yeah,
like if she was just, like, a regular old witchy looking woman, it would've been, like, just as scary, but every time
yeah,
it mentioned, like, her head, like,
like
swinging because of how
like
long her Yeah, I
yeah.
couldn't really imagine it in my head,
I struggled with that too. I liked um I visualized her as like more like the witch from Left for Dead, like with the long hands and like running towards you like that. Because she did like at first she was like really fast and screaming and everything. Um, so that's how I did struggle with that too. Because there would be times where I'm like, okay, like I can do it, but it was when she was like moving fast and then almost like describing like a tree at certain points, and I was like, well, is she a tree or is she like a
mhm.
really elongated human?
I think
Like
Yeah, I know, I was wondering that too, especially in the beginning, and there's a point where Beth sees Maggie crawling out of the American,
yeah,
and she was like, "Oh, there's a tree fell down," and I was like, "What?" And it was like, "Oh, it was
yeah,
Maggie," and I was like, "That's such a weird," like, I was confused a little bit, but then as you read on, like, I guess she did just look gray and long, so maybe that's why people were confusing her with a tree, but they kind of brought that up a couple times to describe her.
yeah,
So I
and like
don't fully understand what Maggie looked like.
yeah, it took me out of it from what I would have her look like in my mind, and then the way that they would all of a sudden just be like, and tree like. I was like, oh yeah, okay, like bark or something like around over her, like or yeah, there were like things like that I was kind of like, maybe less with the tree stuff, but I did find the start of it too, where there would be like ghostly apparitions, or when she was like walking home and like it was just like somebody like walking fast after her and like touching her. I liked those. Those were creepy. That was a good. But what I was kind of like, well, they never come up again.
Mhm.
Like it just then turns into like a monster thing. So like it was like spooky there, and then it was like a monster flick. So I
Yeah.
kind of was like hoping maybe there would be like a little bit more, I don't know, like spiritual powers that she would have had, because she just turns into like a murder machine after that. There's no powers other than like maybe changing body shape and sizes and everything like that, but no possession, no
Mhm.
nothing like that. So I guess maybe like a little bit of that mix at the start. I was like, okay, this is good, and then maybe keep it more fluid that way. But
Well, it's funny because when I never even thought about it until you just brought it up right now, but reading it, it's like I was reading it like a film, like an A24 horror movie where, like, a horror movie would totally have those moments in the beginning
yes,
just to
yes,
be like something is coming, you
something's
know?
coming.
So,
Yeah,
uh, I don't know if it needed an explanation. It was just like, because clearly this author is, inspired
super.
by, yeah, by 80s horror, so it's like that's what a horror movie would do to make sure the audience knew, like, the climax isn't here yet, you don't know who's coming, but, like, something bad's really coming, you know?
You are correct. Yeah, I agree with you. You're right. That's how it is. I guess I'm such like a stickler for like the rules of like, well, if you have these abilities,
Yeah,
why not utilize them? You know, that's how I roll when it comes to these things.
yeah, boring. "Hey, on page 33, it says
Yeah.
here that
Yeah.
she came."
Actually, yeah, that's me. I'm a stickler for the rules. Well, how come when in this like yeah, 100% can't help it. That's just the way I am.
So, okay, what was your favorite part of the book? Do you have, like, a favorite part, or did we kinda talk about it was the town hall, or
No, I love that part. That part was really great. I actually one more thing about that town hall. Have you ever seen The Kingsman?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that church scene really reminded me of that, and I felt like that could be very much like if you put like an awesome song over top, or there would if you had that murder scene with James Blunt playing over top of that, that would be perfect for a movie. Um, Another perfect scene that I really really liked was when Beth was back at the bowling alley after they locked themselves in and they're basically just like hiding out from Maggie. When she goes and starts like kind of like dancing to "Rock with You." Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I really really like that because that's that pause, and then you have like a really good song to then go right into like a really horrifically graphic scene. It like this is why I love his writing because you so easily are like, yes, I can hear that song, and you can see this person just like, you know what, I'm just gonna block everything out. I'm just gonna dance to this song, and then like watch a guy die by with a hand up his ass. Like it's the best. Oh, I love these books. I
Oh,
could
man.
not recommend these books more to anybody out there.
I know, I know. Well, do you have anything else to say about the book, or should we just get to rating?
I say we could probably get to the rating.
Okay, what do you think?
Well, I'm gonna give him 4.5. I don't know if I can say this.
Well, then don't say it. As simple as that. Get on to the
Oh,
next.
I want to so bad. 4 out of 5 birthings on top of a grave. Okay.
Right, right.
Yeah, four and a
Uh,
half. 4.5 of those.
4.5. Okay, I give it 5 out of 5
Ooh.
babies in furnaces. Like, it did it. I don't think that there could be a better book. The fact that I picked it up and couldn't put it down and was so excited to talk to you about it. Like, obviously, there's, like, little, we talked little things wrong with it, right? But it's just like it's just so much better beyond that. It's, like, somebody please make this a
Yeah,
movie because it would
somebody.
be so fun. And,
Yeah,
like, what a sick cover too.
yeah. Everything about it.
Yeah.
The town that they're in, the amount of people that you would need to make this. It everything is just a very very easy paper to film adaptation. There would be hardly anything that you would need to change. Hardly anything. It's
Right?
all visually captivating. All of it.
Yeah. Also, I've been saying "shite" in my head now. Since we read the horror, I
Yeah.
was like anytime I was saying shit, I was like, "Oh, shite." And then now I'm doing that again because of this, and I'm like I was looking up other books that he's written, and I'm like, "Man, I don't wanna do another one of his really soon because then it's just like we're basically a David Sodergren."
Fan club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
know. Believe me, it's hard not to want to pick another one of his books. we will in the future for sure. I will probably have to read them all. Yeah, can't wait for the next one. But yeah, love this book.
Yeah. All right. And so for next month is my choice. We are going to be reading Model Home by River Solomon. I don't actually know a lot about this book, but it seems like a haunted house story, but has a little bit more like social commentary, almost like Tananarive that we read
Oh, okay.
before. But I mean, this cover, I saw it in the bookstore and I was like, this is so sick. So,
Oh yeah. You know what? I'm really liking these unknown authors that are, like Letters to the Purple Satin Killer. I still can't even remember what that guy's name is, but like I love that book. I tell everybody to read that book. And now I'll be telling
whoa.
them all to read this one because it's super good.
Yeah, man. Yeah. 5 out of 5. So good.
Yeah. 4.5 coming out of a or
Oh, God. That was so gross.
and if you read the book, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So gross.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.